A girl was taking her pet scorpion for a walk on the street when several boys stopped her. The boys thought Annie was a freak because no normal person would ever keep a scorpion as a pet. They pinned Annie against the wall and killed her pet scorpion right in front of her. This incident caused deep emotional trauma to Annie. She buried the scorpion in tears and secretly vowed to become strong enough to never be bullied again. As she grew up, Annie turned cold and unfeeling, always dressed in black and radiating an icy aura. One day, Annie discovered that her younger brother had been locked in a closet by his classmates again. Just by touching her brother's body, Annie used her telepathic abilities to locate the students who had bullied him.
The only person who gets to torture my brother is me.
She then dumped 2 bags of piranhas into the school swimming pool. Clearly, a regular school could no longer accommodate a student like Annie, so her mother sent her to Nevermore Academy, a school dedicated to enrolling students with supernatural abilities. The school was home to vampires who wore sunglasses and drank red beverages, werewolves with curly hair that transformed under the full moon, sirens who could enchant people with their singing, and descendants of the Gorgon Medusa with the supernatural ability to petrify others. Soon, Annie met her roommate Enid, a werewolf who couldn't transform during the full moon. The only proof of her werewolf identity was her sharp claws. Nevertheless, Enid had a very cheerful personality and warmly welcomed Annie, even giving her a tour of the school. After completing Annie's enrollment procedures, her mother prepared to leave. Before departing, she gave Annie 2 items, a necklace that allowed her to see visions and a crystal ball for video calls. That night, Annie divided the room in half and scraped off all the color on her side because she was allergic to bright colors. Her world could only consist of black and white. The young werewolf girl was very displeased with Annie's behavior. She deliberately played loud music while Annie was focused on writing her novel and danced joyfully around the room. Annie's concentration was broken, and she angrily ordered the werewolf girl to turn off the music. In response, the werewolf girl unsheathed her sharp claws.
Don't mess with me. This kitty's got claws, and I'm not afraid to use them.
Just as the two were about to fight, a teacher arrived just in time. The werewolf girl quickly retracted her claws. The teacher gave Annie a pot of black dahlias and specifically instructed both Annie and the werewolf girl not to unsheath their claws in the dormitory and not to try to kill each other while the other was sleeping. Clearly, the teacher already knew what both of them were thinking. They could only call a temporary truce, and Annie soon found her next challenge. To prove her abilities, Annie decided to challenge Luna, the captain of the fencing team. Though small in stature, Annie was incredibly quick. The first 2 rounds ended with each of them scoring a point. In the 3rd round, Annie insisted on removing the safety gear, believing it was the only way for both to display their true skills. The price of overconfidence was steep. Luna slashed Annie's forehead. After receiving treatment, Annie had just left the infirmary when a stone eagle statue suddenly fell from the rooftop. At the critical moment, a boy pushed her out of the way. When Annie woke up, instead of thanking him, she accused him of meddling. The boy wasn't angry because Annie had once saved his life. When he was 10, he had hidden in his grandmother's coffin during a game of hide and seek. The adults, unaware he was inside, nearly sent it to the crematorium. Fortunately, Annie noticed something was wrong and rescued him. Now they were even. Back in her dorm, Annie continued working on her novel when she heard a strange noise coming from her bed. She threw back the covers to find a severed hand creature trying to escape.
Hello, thing.
She caught it just in time. It turned out the creature was a pet left by Annie's mother to keep an eye on her at school. Annie warned the hand that if it didn't pledge loyalty to her, she would lock it in a drawer until the end of the semester. Eventually, the hand agreed, and Annie's first order was to help her escape from school. Due to injuring several students at her previous school, Annie was court-ordered to undergo weekly psychological therapy. This was her only chance to escape. She pretended to need to use the restroom, climbed out the window, and shimmied down the drain pipe. Annie made her way to a cafe, ordered coffee, and asked the server to help her find a ride to the train station. But while waiting, 3 troublemakers targeted her. Annie took them down in under a minute. The incident drew police attention, and her escape plan failed. But Annie didn't give up. Back at school, she sent the severed hand to find Taylor, the cafe server. The hand carried a note with Annie's phone number. She explained to Taylor that the school's Harvest Festival party was coming up that weekend. A perfect distraction. They agreed that Taylor would drive her to the train station during the event. When the night of the Harvest Festival arrived, Taylor showed up as promised. But as Annie was leaving, she accidentally bumped into her classmate Rowan. The moment they touched, Annie had another strange vision. This time, she saw the school engulfed in flames and Rowan killed by a monster. Shaken, Annie ran after Rowan to warn her, but Rowan responded with an eerie smile and used telekinesis to pin Annie against a tree. A monster killed a boy right in front of her. Even though the monster saved Annie, she had no intention of letting it continue killing. During her investigation, Annie encountered the monster again. She noticed that its footprints had turned human. Annie realized the monster might be hiding among the students at school. Xavier caught Annie's attention. After the second murder, 3 scratch marks appeared on his neck. Although Xavier claimed he got them during fencing practice, Annie wasn't buying it. She followed Xavier in secret and discovered that his art studio was filled with drawings of the monster. Just as she was about to leave, Xavier found her. Annie decided to confront him directly about his connection to the murderous creature. But Xavier explained that his power was dream-related. Lately, he'd been having recurring dreams about the monster, which was why he'd been drawing it. Then, unexpectedly, the monster from his drawings came to life and attacked him. Annie quickly spotted a flaw in his story. She showed him a drawing of the creature's lair. She didn't believe he could dream up such a specific location. Xavier became angry and embarrassed, and he bluntly told Annie to leave. Before she left, Annie secretly took a towel from his studio. Later, she also found one of the monster's claws in its lair. She submitted both pieces of evidence to the police for DNA testing. If the data matched, it would prove Xavier was the killer. But to Annie's surprise, the DNA didn't match, which meant she had been wrong about Xavier. So who was the real monster? The dismembered hand poured a bucket of gasoline into the fountain and secretly lit the fuse. The statue instantly exploded, causing the crowd to freak out and scatter in all directions. Only Enid remained cheerfully playing her cello in the square while the statue of Crackstone gradually melted in the flames. The statue explosion made the mayor totally lose it, and the principal received numerous anonymous complaints. Although there was no evidence pointing to Enid, the principal knew she was behind it. She accused Enid of going too far this time, but Enid believed she was avenging her ancestors. 400 years ago, wizards with supernatural abilities lived in peace with ordinary humans until a man named Crackstone arrived in town. He declared that those with powers were devils and incited humans to round up all the wizards before, burning them alive. Only Enid's ancestor managed to escape through a hidden passage and later established this school specifically for those with supernatural abilities. Ironically, the school now celebrates Crackstone as a hero. The principal argued that Enid's actions would disrupt the harmony between humans and wizards and ordered her confined to the campus. Soon after, another incident occurred in town, a monster killing a homeless man. Fortunately, the victim's camera captured a photo of the creature. That's when Enid noticed 3 deep claw marks on her classmate Xavier's neck. When she asked about them, Xavier claimed they were from fencing, an obvious lie that made Enid suspicious. She secretly followed Xavier to a cabin, and the moment she turned on the light, she was completely stunned. The canvases were covered with paintings of ferocious monsters. It seemed Xavier had some connection to the creature. Enid took the monster portrait to the police station, hoping to exchange information with the sheriff. The sheriff compared it with the photo from the homeless man's camera and found the 2 images matched closely. So he refused to collaborate with a high school student unless Enid could find more evidence. Enid returned to school and asked her friends for help. David recognized one of the locations in the image and led her to a cave. Inside, Enid discovered numerous human skeletons, a set of shackles on the wall, and even a monster's claw. It was clear this was the creature's lair. Annie had not intended to go. She had already made plans with David to investigate a monster's lair. But the severed hand creature, hoping to bring Annie and Jack closer, printed an invitation card and secretly left it at the cafe where Jack worked. That evening, as Annie was about to head out, she ran into Jack, who was dressed handsomely. Too embarrassed to turn him down in person, she reluctantly went back inside to change. After searching for a while without finding a suitable evening gown, the creature pointed toward the bed. It had already prepared a dress for her, a black evening gown, which was Annie's favorite. Annie looked stunning in the black dress, and Jack was completely captivated.
I mean it means that you look beautiful.
Seeing Annie with Jack, David decided to investigate the cave alone. After the dance began, Annie's unique zombie-style dance caught everyone's attention. Meanwhile, 3 troublemakers from town sneaked into the school. They connected a hose to a fire hydrant, and one of the boys pulled the fire alarm. Sprinklers in the ballroom sprayed red liquid everywhere, causing everyone to scream and run in panic, except Annie, who stood calmly in the middle of the dance floor, even tasting a drop on her finger.
They couldn't even sprinkle real pig's blood.
Then, a boy accidentally bumped into Annie. The moment they touched, Annie had another vision of the future. She saw a monster charging toward David. Instantly realizing David was in grave danger, she rushed into the woods. She found David lying barely conscious in a pool of blood. She immediately took him to the hospital. Although the doctors managed to save his life, David fell into a coma. The police soon captured the attacker who had assaulted David. When Annie shared the good news with Jack, the 2 kissed impulsively. But in that moment, Annie had another vision, and realized that Jack was the real murderous monster. A severed hand creature slipped through the ventilation shaft into the town morgue. It used a piece of gum to block the security camera, then unlocked the door for its owner, Annie. They had come late at night to investigate a homeless man who had been killed by a monster. The severed hand searched for all available information on the homeless man, while Annie began examining the body. She found torn wounds on both of the victim's hands, and severe trauma to his chest and torso. This reminded Annie of another case involving the death of a male classmate. That boy had tried to assault Annie when a monster suddenly appeared and killed him. The monster had clearly seen Annie but did not harm her. The injuries on on that boy were almost identical to those on this homeless man. Annie concluded that the same monster was responsible for both killings, and that it likely knew who she was. Just then, she noticed the victim's left foot was missing. As she moved in for a closer look, the severed hand detected someone approaching and quickly alerted Annie. She had to stop her investigation and hide. The town sheriff and the medical examiner arrived. The examiner opened a freezer compartment where the homeless man's left foot was stored, but 2 of the toes were missing. The wounds suggested they had been cut off with some kind of tool. The examiner was puzzled, suspecting the monster might have some kind of strange collecting obsession. The sheriff also couldn't understand the monster's motives and instructed the examiner to complete the autopsy as soon as possible. Before leaving, the examiner noticed one of the storage drawers wasn't fully closed. He opened it and found Annie disguised as a corpse.
I don't remember this one coming in. Full rigor. You've been dead a while. Guess you won't mind waiting another day for me to cut you open.
After the sheriff and examiner left, the severed hand hurriedly crawled out of a skeleton specimen and pulled open the drawer to free Annie. But Annie actually seemed to be enjoying herself.
5 more minutes. I was just getting comfortable.
She brought the homicide investigation materials back to her dorm to study carefully and soon made a major discovery. The monster had removed a specific body part from each victim, sometimes a kidney, other times fingers or toes. This meant the monster wasn't attacking people randomly, it was purposefully collecting human organs. Furthermore, based on footprints found at the scene, the monster was likely once human itself. Excited, Annie shared the photos with the young werewolf girl, who fainted after just one glance.
That's your smelling salts. Again.
The girl triggered the alarm while going through airport security. She pulled out the brass knuckles she used for close quarters combat, but the metal detector kept beeping. Helpless, she continued retrieving items from her person. The security officer watched, stunned, as the girl even tipped a nunchuck out of her shoe. While inspecting her luggage, the officer then discovered a severed hand. The girl explained she was a medical intern heading to a juvenile embalmer convention and that the hand was merely a prop for her competition. Reluctantly, the officer allowed her to proceed, but the girl was lying. Her true identity was that of a psychic. Since age 6, Annie had been tracking a serial killer who had murdered numerous young girls and was listed by the police as one of the world's most elusive killers. To catch him, Annie had used the severed hand to steal a bowling ball from a crime scene. Holding the ball, she psychically located the killer. However, airport security confiscated all her weapons, leaving her only with a stun gun. Annie chose to pursue the killer alone.
Are your serial killer services listed online too?
But when she drew the stun gun, the killers swiftly grabbed her. The instant their skin touched, 2 streams of blood flowed from Annie's eyes, and her consciousness linked with his. She soon passed out. When Annie regained awareness, she found herself locked in a dim basement surrounded by eerie toy dolls arranged around a table. The killer then entered, pushing a cart laden with skinning tools. He produced a doll identical to Annie, a signature ritual where he crafted a replica of each victim before killing them. Annie, however, showed no trace of fear.
Let me show you some of my own handiwork.
She merely glanced at a rag doll beside her. The doll moved, its eyes snapping open. Startled, the killer froze. Before he could react, a severed hand burst from the doll's head, slamming into his face and then repeatedly striking his groin. As he struggled to escape, the hand knocked him unconscious. Annie freed herself from the ropes, a chilling smile spreading across her face. She picked up the skinning tools and approached the killer.
Let's play dolls.
The boy suddenly removed his hat and merely glanced at the classmate behind him. Instantly, the classmate turned into a stone statue. This was Nevermore Academy. Since Annie defeated the demon and saved the academy, all the students had idolized her. Even the headmaster personally invited Annie to the bonfire party and asked her to speak as an honorary student. But Annie had no interest in any of this. She returned to her dormitory and exchanged gifts with the werewolf girl. The werewolf girl gave Annie a black t-shirt, while Annie gave her a rag doll found at a murderer's hideout.
I mean, it is a little creepy, but the curls are super soft.
It's made from real human hair.
Annie planned to continue working on her novel when a knock suddenly sounded at the door. As Annie opened it, an arrow shot into the room with a photo attached. Clearly, someone was targeting her. Annie picked up the photo and activated her psychic abilities. Strangely, Annie couldn't perceive the person's appearance, and black blood began to flow from her eyes. Meanwhile, a private detective was taking photos outdoors, completely unaware he was being watched by a red-eyed crow. As the crow let out a piercing cry, a large flock of crows suddenly appeared and began viciously attacking him. The detective quickly fled to his car, but when he looked back, he saw a horrifying sight. The police soon reported the murder. Learning of the news, Annie rushed to the scene to investigate but unexpectedly encountered Taylor, the father of the serial killer Jack. Taylor revealed the dead detective was his friend and invited Annie to collaborate on solving the case. Annie refused Taylor.
If you change your mind, you come find me. Just remember, the birds are always watching.
Returning to her dorm, Annie discovered the manuscript of her novel was missing. A printed photo of herself and a letter appeared in her printer. The thief informed Annie they would burn her novel at the bonfire party. Annie hurried to the bonfire site and found another note left by the thief. Following the thief's instructions, Annie crawled inside the woodpile. Just then, the headmaster announced the party's start and launched a fireball that ignited the woodpile. As the flames reached a wooden bird decoration, the students activated their abilities. Astonishingly, the flaming bird took flight. Fortunately, Annie finally found her manuscript. The headmaster invited Annie to speak on stage, mentioning he had prepared a gift, a poster of Annie laughing. The students applauded, but Annie couldn't accept it. She grabbed a torch and burned the poster. The bonfire party ended early as a result. On the way back to the dorm, the werewolf girl chased after Annie, demanding to know why she ruined the party. But the moment the werewolf girl touched Annie's shoulder, Annie's consciousness suddenly entered a graveyard. Many crows circled overhead, and shockingly, one tombstone bore the werewolf girl's name. Back in reality, blood flowed from Annie's eyes again, and her body convulsed violently on the ground. Annie had foreseen a terrifying future. A girl had just returned to her dorm when she found her roommate lying on the floor covered in blood. Annie was shocked and quickly sent her detached hand to find help. Unexpectedly, the next moment, the wolf girl opened her eyes and smiled. It turned out today was Mole College's prank day, where students could freely use their abilities to trick others. Some locked a vampire classmate in a coffin filled with garlic, others stole the teacher's coffee, some summoned bees to attack people, and some used their superpowers to turn classmates to stone. Only Annie remained focused on investigating the murder case. Besides, the private detective, Jack's father Taylor, had also been killed by ravens. Annie used her psychic abilities on Taylor's corpse but still couldn't see the killer's face. Annie's mother told her that the black tears meant her psychic powers were fading. She had to hand over Goody's spellbook, or face mortal danger, but Annie refused to surrender the book, believing she could solve the case even without her psychic abilities. Learning the school had no students with avian-based abilities, Annie went directly to the prison to find Jack.
Your father is dead. He was murdered last night.
Based on her investigation, the first victim was also connected to Jack's family, so Annie believed the killer must be someone Jack knew. But Jack refused to tell Annie anything. He just kept threatening her, saying if he escaped prison, he would definitely kill the wolf girl. Annie didn't take Jack's threat seriously, but when she returned to the dorm, she found the wolf girl was gone. Only the wolf girl's phone and backpack remained. A voicemail on the phone told Annie she had half an hour to find the wolf girl, or both the wolf girl and her boyfriend would die. Then a clue card appeared in the room. Seeing the letters on the card, Annie instantly guessed they related to musical notes. So she went to the piano room and played the notes. After the music ended, the door to a nearby basement suddenly opened. Through a secret passage, Annie finally saw the wolf girl. They were tightly bound together, with sharp daggers hanging above the wolf girl's head. Annie sent her detached hand to rescue them, but it triggered a trap after just a few steps and was pinned to the floor by a dagger. Annie had to keep searching for clues. The basement held hundreds of books. Annie guessed the trap mechanism was hidden in one of them. Suddenly, the mechanism activated. With only 5 minutes left of the half-hour deadline, just as the trap was about to kill the wolf girl in the final second, Annie finally deciphered the mechanism's code. The mastermind then revealed herself, a girl with invisibility powers. But she meant Annie no harm. Instead, she was Annie's biggest fan. She had deliberately designed the trap just to get Annie's attention. The girl wanted to investigate the murders with Annie and had already found Taylor's phone. Annie eventually agreed. They had a classmate transform into Taylor's appearance to successfully unlock the phone. Inside was a recording from Taylor. He had sensed something would happen to him, so he hid all the evidence in a forest cabin. Annie pulled out a map and saw the cabin was near the school's training camp. But at that moment, Annie didn't yet know her younger brother David had already caused serious trouble. A man was showering in his house when a skeleton suddenly appeared in the doorway. It ran its tongue along the man's back, mistaking it for his wife teasing him. The man remained unaware. The skeleton, eager to devour him, grabbed an axe and started hacking at the bathroom door. Only when the man bent down to pick up the soap did he finally see the skeleton. A boy was terrified. He never imagined his pet skeleton had nearly eaten his own father. Just the day before, David's roommate had told him a scary story. It was about a boy who was incredibly clever. One day, the boy designed a mechanical heart and successfully transplanted it into his own body. But the heart's winding mechanism changed him, making him increasingly cold. The boy later died accidentally during an experiment. His body was buried beneath the skeletal tree. Legend said that if you pressed your ear to the left eye socket of the skeleton tree, you could hear the sound of the boy's mechanical heart winding. Naturally adventurous, David found the skeleton tree that very night. Instead of hearing the winding sound, he summoned a skeleton from a cave. David discovered his electric sparks could subdue the skeleton and decided to keep it as a pet at his school. But when David left, the skeleton escaped. A passing car then hit the skeleton. The driver rushed out to check, only to be killed by the skeleton. David knew nothing about this. The next day, he even took the skeleton to a school training camp. He locked it in a coffin, believing it was secure. However, the lock couldn't contain the skeleton. That night, a teacher accidentally entered David's tent and became the skeleton's dinner. The skeleton wandered into the middle of a duel between Annie and her mother. Annie's mother had stolen Annie's spellbook, claiming it was for her protection. Annie challenged her mother. If she won, her mother had to return the book. The duel had just started when Annie spotted the skeleton. She destroyed it effortlessly with a single slash. Although Annie didn't get her spellbook back, with the help of a one-handed monster, she found a forest cabin. Hidden in a secret compartment within the cabin, Annie discovered numerous human death notices. These people all shared one thing in common. They were patients from a mental institution. Annie placed her hand on one of the notices, hoping to psychically access the person's memories. But without her spellbook, she couldn't activate her psychic abilities. She decided to go to the mental institution herself. A deadly crisis was waiting for her there. A sudden flock of ravens appeared at the school. The detached hand tried to run away but was snatched up by one raven and carried into the sky. Fortunately, the principal intervened just in time. As the detached hand was about to be dropped to its death, the wolf girl suddenly lunged forward and caught it with both hands. Annie then noticed a mysterious figure in a black robe upstairs and instantly guessed this person was the killer. Annie quickly rushed upstairs to pursue them but found only an empty black robe. Upstairs were only the psychiatrist from the mental institution and the school's music teacher. Both were suspects. So, Annie had her uncle Tony pose as a psychiatric patient to infiltrate the hospital while she stayed at school to monitor the music teacher. Their classmate Kelly also found some clues for Annie. She discovered an aviary on campus, built long ago by a former teacher, Mr. Hester, for his daughter Louise. After retiring, Hester had become a psychiatrist at the mental institution. Not long after, Hester suffered a mental breakdown. Believing Hester held many secrets, Annie instructed her uncle to administer electroconvulsive therapy. Sure enough, they got Louise's whereabouts from Hester's parrot. The detached hand quickly relayed this news to Annie. Learning that the music teacher was going to the mental institution that very night, Annie immediately hid in the teacher's car and snuck in. She soon met up with her uncle and the skeleton. The skeleton tried to attack Annie but was zapped into submission by her uncle. However, the uncle's electric shock damaged the skeleton's chains. After Annie and her uncle left, the skeleton broke free and attacked a security guard at the institution. A female teacher seized the chance to escape. She stole keys and freed Jack. The teacher assumed Jack would still obey her commands like before, but Jack now only wanted her dead.
So I'll give you a 5-second head start.
Seeing the murderous intent in Jack's eyes, the terrified teacher turned and fled. Jack immediately began transforming, throwing the entire mental institution into chaos. Meanwhile, Annie was still searching everywhere for Louise. It wasn't until she saw the outcasts imprisoned in the basement that Annie finally understood Louise wasn't a person's name, it was the name of an experiment. Seeing Annie uncover the truth, the mysterious figure in the black robe finally appeared. She was revealed to be Hester's daughter. The project was originally proposed by Hester. Its purpose was to extract the abilities of outcasts and implant them into ordinary humans. Hester's first test subject was his own daughter, giving her the superpower to command birds. Just then, Annie's uncle suddenly attacked. His powerful electric surge destroyed the entire hospital's power system. All the outcasts imprisoned in the basement broke free. Jack caught up with the female teacher and personally ended her life. As Annie was leaving, she unexpectedly encountered Jack. She told a nearby woman to run away immediately while she stayed behind to deal with Jack. But the next second, Annie was thrown through a window.
I was attracted to you. But you do know there's only one way we can truly be together. Say hello to your new master.
Annie had finally discovered the hide's weakness. A male hide would become mentally unstable after losing its master and would soon die a violent death. This gave Annie a bold idea. She wanted to become Tyler's new master. Although Principal Weems repeatedly warned her that since Tyler had betrayed his previous master, he would eventually betray Annie too, she still loved him and couldn't bear to watch him die. So, Annie prepared a potion capable of controlling the hide and gathered the members of the Nightshade Society at the school, planning to capture Tyler that very night. At that moment, Tyler was hiding in a sewer, trembling and disoriented, even hallucinating about his deceased father.
Turn yourself in. Leave me alone! That's the only way you're gonna get out of this alive. Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Soon, an assassin tracked his footsteps to the sewer. Sent by the director of the mental hospital, the assassin was searching for a special patient codenamed 1938. Tyler transformed into the hide and killed the assassin outright. The assassin's dying screams attracted a nearby skeleton creature, which also entered the sewer. Strangely, the skeleton and Tyler did not conflict with each other. As night fell, the town was bustling with a lively de los Muertos celebration. The appearance of the skeleton creature raised no suspicions, as everyone assumed it was just someone's elaborate horror makeup. Seizing the opportunity, the skeleton creature devoured a person's brain. Upon learning of this, Tony immediately realized it was the same creature he had previously released from the cemetery. He told his father to keep watch outside while he rushed in to find the skeleton. To Tony's surprise, the skeleton had not only grown flesh and blood, but had also gained the ability to speak.
Ugly. Stop!
It turned out that human brains could restore the skeleton to its original form. By then, the police had surrounded the haunted house. The resurrected skeleton, desperate to avoid recapture, begged Tony to let it go.
You're my only friend, Pugsley. Let me go, please.
In the end, Tony's compassion won over, and he allowed the skeleton to escape through the back door while he drew the police's attention at the front entrance. Meanwhile, Tyler also appeared at the event. The werewolf girl, following the plan, deliberately revealed herself to Tyler and lured him to an abandoned wooden cabin. One by one, the members of the Nightshade Society emerged. When Tyler transformed into the Hyde, Annie launched a surprise attack from behind, but Tyler reacted swiftly and kicked her away. The rest of the students were also overpowered and knocked to the ground. Just as the werewolf girl was about to be killed by Tyler, Annie captured his attention and tried to persuade him emotionally to submit to her. Just as Annie's plan seemed on the verge of success, a female Hyde burst through the wall and stormed in. She was the special patient codenamed 1938 from the mental hospital, and she was Tyler's mother. The girl touched the tombstone and read the words carved on it. The next second, her consciousness was pulled into another world. Standing before her was a witch draped in a white veil.
How dare you enter my chamber uninvited?
I'm a raven.
One whose wings have been clipped.
Annie begged the witch to help her restore her psychic powers. The witch told her to place her hand in the fire. If she could endure it for 1 full minute, her powers would temporarily return, but she must not pull her hand away midway, or she would pay a terrible price. Without hesitation, Annie placed her hand in the flames. Just then, the young werewolf appeared out of nowhere and interrupted her.
We have to go back.
There would be a price to pay.
The next morning, when Annie woke up, she realized she had switched bodies with the young werewolf. It was clearly the witch's punishment. Until they figured out how to fix it, Annie and the werewolf decided to keep the secret. But since they didn't really know each other, trouble came quickly. A boy invited the werewolf to play a game, but inside her body was Annie's soul. Annie flipped him over her shoulder and slammed him to the ground. Meanwhile, the werewolf, now in Annie's body, drank a brightly colored drink. Almost immediately, rashes broke out all over her skin. Luckily, Annie's mom had a special cream that made the red spots vanish the moment it was applied. Before leaving, the werewolf instinctively called out, "Mom," which left Mrs. Adams stunned, because her daughter hadn't called her that in a long time. To cover it up, the werewolf claimed she just wanted to try something different. To her surprise, Mrs. Adams insisted she join the family dinner that night. Panicked, the werewolf rushed back to Annie's dorm and searched through her desk, hoping to find clues about Annie's relationship with her family. Instead, she stumbled across a novel Annie had written. In it, the character based on her was portrayed as useless. It was clear Annie had never truly respected her abilities. Furious, the werewolf plotted revenge. She picked out the flashiest outfit she could find and danced in front of everyone on campus. But after a few minutes, she started feeling sick. Annie's body had broken out in rashes again, this time far worse than before. Only then did the werewolf realize Annie was allergic to anything with color. Annie, watching from a distance, saw everything unfold. To even the score, she broke up with the werewolf's boyfriend. At that point, the two of them were finally even. The old man was reduced to just a head, yet he was still alive. Dr. Head revealed a shocking secret to Annie. There once was a student named Isaac at Nevermore School who was a tech genius with an extraordinary talent. Isaac had designed the very life support system that kept Dr. Head alive. What's more, Isaac was also a member of the Hyde family. But one day, an accidental explosion destroyed his lab, and Isaac vanished without a trace. Legend had it that his body was buried beneath the school's skeleton tree. Annie suddenly remembered something. She went to find her brother, Pugsley, recalling that he had once summoned a skeletal creature. Sure enough, that creature was now missing. Clearly, Pugsley had brought Isaac back to life. Meanwhile, Tyler was taken by his mother to a basement, only to find himself locked to a bed. His mother explained that male Hydes must have a master. Without one, they would deteriorate mentally and die. To save Tyler's life, she had now become his new master, but Tyler was tired of being controlled and demanded that she release him. In response, she slapped him hard across the face. As the two were having dinner, a sudden knock came at the door. The mother immediately grabbed a gun and aimed it at the entrance. The next moment, a man walked in. The woman was stunned to see it was her brother, who had died years ago. She couldn't believe her eyes, until the man revealed a secret only the two of them knew. Finally, she accepted that her brother had truly returned to life. This woman was the mysterious patient Annie had rescued from the mental hospital, and the skeletal creature was her brother, Isaac. After consuming many human brains, Isaac had regained his human form. Then, the woman suddenly began coughing violently. Although the Hyde family could transform into powerful monsters, the tremendous energy consumed their health, causing most to die young. But Isaac claimed he had a solution, a machine at the mental hospital that could extract their supernatural abilities. Meanwhile, the young werewolf girl was practicing dance in the classroom when her nails began to grow and her body underwent strange changes. When the music teacher entered the room, all she found were shreds of torn clothing scattered across the floor. Through the window, she could see a werewolf running under the moonlight. What surprised her most was that tonight wasn't even a full moon, clearly. This was no ordinary werewolf. A strange murder took place at Nevermore Academy. An old man, who had lived for 2 centuries with the help of a life support machine, was found dead with only his head left. The killer stole the man's power core, cutting off his oxygen supply, and then cruelly ate his brain. This horrifying scene happened to be witnessed by Carrie, who had the power of invisibility. Carrie immediately activated her ability, slipped into the killer's car, and secretly sent a message and her location to Annie. The killer soon arrived at a psychiatric hospital and placed the stolen power core into a machine. The lab's electricity roared back to life. He then had his sister lie down on the operating table, preparing to extract the supernatural energy from her body. As the killer worked the machine, Tyler suddenly sensed the presence of the invisible intruder. Just by noticing the movement of the air, he managed to grab Carrie. To keep her from interfering, Tyler chained her up in a nearby cell. Not long after, Annie and the young she-wolf reached the hospital, hoping to rescue Carrie in secret. But Tyler discovered them. At the critical moment, Annie used the she-wolf's body to transform into a werewolf. The werewolf's body carried immense power, and with just a simple swing of her hand, Annie slammed Tyler against the wall. But just as Annie was about to kill him, the machine in the lab malfunctioned, and the entire place was on the verge of exploding. Annie had no choice but to shield the she-wolf and Carrie as they made a desperate escape. Once they got out of the psychiatric hospital, Annie shifted back from her werewolf form. It was then that Carrie realized Annie and the she-wolf had actually swapped bodies. To return to normal, they would have to confess their deepest secrets to each other in front of the witch's grave. After going through life and death together, Annie and the she-wolf finally let go of their prejudices. They went to the grave together. The she-wolf admitted that what she admired most about Annie was her fearless courage, though she wished Annie could be a little more open-hearted. Annie, on the other hand, realized her mistake and apologized for underestimating the she-wolf's strength. As dawn broke, both of them fainted. When they woke again, they had finally returned to their own bodies.